This presentation will report on a collaborative project on multilingualism called Duality of Loviisa, words parallel or intersecting. Finland is a Nordic country located in Northern Europe with a population of more than 5 million inhabitants. Due to its history of being under Swedish rule for over 600 years, Finland has two official languages, Finnish and Swedish. 5 to 6% of residents of Finland claim Swedish as their native language, and although Swedish speakers are a minority, bilingualism is very prominent in all aspects of life. All children are obligated to learn both Finnish and Swedish at school and can benefit from being bilingual later in life. However, there is some social tension connected to Finland's bilingualism. Some students believe that learning Swedish is unnecessary. Moreover, speakers of Swedish can feel excluded from society, especially in Finnish-dominated areas of the country. Loviisa is a coastal town in Finland with a population of just under 15,000 people. One of its most prominent features is its bilingualism, with around 40% of Loviisa's residents being speakers of Swedish. The aim of this project is to look into the town's bilingualism and how the two languages, Finnish and Swedish, coexist in the same space. For the purpose of this project, 3 research questions have been proposed. Research question 1. What is the relationship between Finnish-speaking Finns and Swedish-speaking Finns? Research question 2. How prevalent is the use of Finnish and Swedish in schools, shops, and streets in Loviisa, Finland? Research question 3. How is language viewed in regards to identity, social status, personality, and opportunities? In this project, various techniques of data collection were used, including online surveys, contact with local newspapers, live interviews, pictures and screenshots from Google Earth, and official websites and social media accounts of local businesses and public services.
Most people in Loviisa are bilingual. The language they use depends on the situation they are in, the interlocutor, and how comfortable they are in the respective language. In most cases, the conversation will be held in the most comfortable language for the group. It is also a usual phenomenon that both Finnish-speaking and Swedish-speaking Finns will use their native language to communicate with each other, resulting in a two-language communication. However, speaking Swedish can still make Swedish-speaking Finns stand out, and that is why some of them might often switch to Finnish during the day, a behavior that is not as noticeable in Finnish-speaking Finns. In general, both language groups are on good terms and rarely feel any tension. Only exception are some people with strong nationalist mindset, usually Finnish-speaking Finns, who refuse to speak Swedish due to history, a tendency that can be seen all across Finland.
Ja ti tora menuke poli alliksen iso pos po Russia ine piopoli atoma tora pio Milane kelene ja ti koma traipina masenumes vidi kai ine tosso liikki.
Interestingly, although most of the respondents said that the bilingual situation was close to 50-50 between Swedish and Finnish, some of them still questioned it. Like those respondents who said that Finnish was slowly taking over, or that the situation used to be better, but now is a little too focused on Finnish. It shows that according to them, the use of Swedish has been declining over time. A Swedish-speaking person even replied to us in Swedish. None of us in the group speak Swedish, but Google Translate helped us figure out what they wanted to say. And they said that they feel that the situation for Swedish-speaking Finns has gotten worse. It could be explained by the fact that, as we said earlier, Swedish-speaking Finns tend to use Finnish regularly, as this first respondent states. Swedish-speaking Finns are more willing to speak Finnish than the contrary. The second person said that they live in a city that used to be bilingual, but the vast majority now speaks Finnish only. Maybe the Swedish-speaking Finns are just not speaking Swedish anymore? And like this interviewee told us, they avoid speaking Swedish to cause unnecessary troubles, as they assume not everyone speaks their language. Finally, the third respondent says that the situation is good. However, Swedish texts are usually full of spelling mistakes. It could lead to the general perception of certain people in Loviisa that Swedish isn't as important as Finnish. One person even told us that they think that only 3% of the population speaks Swedish, although official sources say 42.
During this project, we looked at the linguistic landscape of Loviisa with the use of pictures and photos from Google Earth and official websites of local businesses. From what we've seen, in most places both languages are equally displayed. Finnish will always be on top of Swedish when displayed vertically. Some establishments, however, are unable to accommodate both languages. Churches and schools, for example, must focus on one language the majority of the time. In such instances, there are always two of such establishments, one with Finnish and one with Swedish. When it comes to survey's findings, the residents of Loviisa show their affection to the bilingual aspect of their city. They frequently responded that they would not want the city to be solely focused on one language. On the right, we can see two examples from the survey. The first question inquired about the participants' mother tongue, and as we can see, 66% replied that their mother tongue is Swedish, 8% that their mother tongue is Finnish, and 12% that it is both. The second question inquired about the participants' sense of belonging, independent of their formal nationality, and it is here that things diverge. Only 4% replied with Swedish, 66% replied with Finnish, 8% replied with both, and a new response occurred that 8% replied with Finland Swedish, which are the Swedish-speaking Finns that we talked about earlier.
All in all, the residents of Loviisa are well adapted to bilingualism and have found ways to communicate with each other through Finnish, two-language communication, or English, the lingua franca. While the town of Loviisa is almost perfectly bilingual, in the surrounding villages one of the two languages usually dominates the other, thus making the linguistic landscape of the region much more complex. Regarding public spaces, they treat both languages equally with few exceptions. As a whole, it seems like the majority of Loviisa's residents appreciate the bilingual state of their town. Nevertheless, the necessity for Finnish-speaking children to learn Swedish is becoming more and more doubted and debated due to the recent increase in immigration in Finland. This, combined with the rising Finnish nationalism, makes the future of the linguistic landscape of Loviisa, as well as other regions of Finland, highly unpredictable.